Good day, good people, and welcome to Revolutionary Belovedness. I'm Robert Farrell, and whether you are here for the live session or watching the recording, thank you for being part of our small community. I would like to share with you that tonight we are going to reflect on simplicity as freedom rather than lack. We're going to draw from the teachings of Wayne Teasdale and Richard Rohr. And we're going to touch slightly on the revolutionary love practice of breath. This is about choosing enoughness to deepen presence, clarity, and care. You're invited to take a moment to settle into a comfortable seated position, feet resting upon the ground, hands resting gently on the lap or on the heart. Eyes soften or closed as your attention turns inward. Let the awareness begin with the body. The weight of the body on the chair or the floor. The spine rises with gentle dignity. The shoulders soften. The face relaxes. Attention moves toward the breath. Air enters the nose and fills the lungs. The chest and belly expand with ease. And then breath flows outward and the body releases. Each breath arrives as a gift of life moving through the body. Allow the rhythm of breathing to guide attention. Inhale and receive life. Exhale and release tension. Inhale and welcome presence. Exhale and settle into the moment. Breath by breath, the mind grows spacious. Breath by breath, the heart opens to the simplicity of being alive. There is enough air for this moment. There is enough time for this breath. There is enough life unfolding right here. So let's remain with the breath for a few moments, allowing our awareness to rest in the gentle rhythm of breathing. Before I share tonight's reflection, I'd like to offer you 3 of our 4 dialogue questions, which we'll have time for at the end of the session tonight. I'm giving you these now to create some open windows to your listening. What helps you recognize what truly matters in your life? Where do you notice cultural pressures toward more accumulation, more activity, more striving in your life, and how might simplicity create greater spaciousness or clarity? And in what ways might choosing a simpler way of living deepen your compassion, your connection with others, your care for the earth? Just let those sit and rest there and allow them to be touched however they may be during the reflection. I didn't see anything in the chat, but I'm trusting that you are hearing and seeing everything okay. The chat will remain open throughout, so feel free to share anything you'd like to during the time. Questions, reflections, maybe you like to use the chat section for your notes, that's quite fine too. Friends, a life of spiritual depth often begins with a quiet discovery. Freedom grows through simplicity. Many cultures describe freedom through expansion, achievement, and accumulation. However, the wisdom of the contemplative tradition reveals another horizon. Freedom actually unfolds through clarity, focus, and enoughness. Wayne Teasdale describes simplicity as a natural expression of a mature spiritual life, a way of living that gathers attention around what is essential and releases energy for love, awareness, and service. And this discovery begins within perception itself. The heart gradually learns to recognize what truly nourishes life. Attention gathers around presence, relationship, and meaning. Energy that once scattered across countless pursuits gradually concentrates around what brings wisdom and compassion into the world. So through this movement, the soul begins to experience a gentle spaciousness. Time feels more open. Awareness becomes vivid. Ordinary moments carry a subtle radiance. Simplicity, therefore, grows first as a way of seeing. When our perception becomes clear, life begins to organize itself around what sustains our wholeness. The person gradually recognizes that many activities once carried great urgency simply hold less importance than presence, kindness, and reverence for life. Simplicity appears less as restriction and more as a return to alignment with what matters most. And many spiritual teachers have described this clarity as purity of heart. Purity of heart means a life oriented toward one central love. Søren Kierkegaard described it beautifully as the capacity to will one thing. And the teachings of Jesus reveal this same simplicity of focus. His life moved with remarkable single-heartedness toward the will of the one he loved. Every decision, every journey, every act of compassion flowed from that steady center. Such focus gathers the human life around a single orientation toward the sacred. And when the heart discovers this center, life naturally becomes simpler. The soul no longer searches endlessly for fulfillment in scattered pursuits. Energy gathers around love of God, care for neighbor, reverence for creation, and those divided loyalties gradually soften. The human person begins to see with greater clarity because attention rests in one consistent direction. Now, Francis of Assisi embodied this same simplicity with joyful freedom. Francis experienced himself as deeply connected to the divine source that sustains all life. And through that realization, he released status, wealth, privilege, what we have often referred to as power, prestige, and possessions. His simplicity emerged from a deep sense of belonging within God's life and within the community of creation. Because Francis trusted that he already belonged, he could let go of possessions that once promised security. Francis taught us that people should own very little, and he did that because he knew that possessions would never own them in that case. And this is the insight that expresses the spiritual freedom of the heart of simplicity. The more you own, it seems that the more those things own you. When life grows crowded with accumulation, attention becomes fragmented. Possessions, they end up quietly demanding protection, maintenance, and worry. Simplicity, on the other hand, gently releases this burden so that the heart can remain attentive to the sacred presence unfolding within each moment. This freedom doesn't arise from deprivation, it arises from a deeper discovery of abundance. Because when the human person experiences communion with the sacred source of life, an inner satisfaction begins to grow. That inner sufficiency allows a person to live with less grasping. Gratitude replaces restlessness. Generosity becomes easier because the heart already senses fullness within. And friends, a brief return to the breath can remind us of this sufficiency. Try it now. One slow inhale that gathers awareness into the body. One gentle exhale softens the mind and restores presence. And in that moment of simplicity, the heart remembers the quiet abundance already flowing through life. And from this interior recognition, the path of simplicity begins to take a shape in daily living. Attention becomes more intentional. Choices reflect deeper priorities rooted in wisdom and compassion. Even time receives new meaning. And energy gathers around what truly nurtures life. And this transformation, well, it also invites a critical awareness of the cultural systems that encourage endless accumulation. Modern societies often assume that more possessions, more productivity, and more consumptions lead to happiness. Yet experience frequently reveals the opposite. A life filled with excess activity and constant striving often leaves the soul restless and unsatisfied and exhausted. Simplicity, well, it gently challenges this assumption by revealing that deep commitment arises from clarity rather than accumulation. Friends, wise teachers across generations have recognized that less clutter leaves more room for the soul. When life becomes simpler, interior space opens. Reflection deepens. Relationship receive greater attention. Compassion finds room to grow. And the heart rediscovers the quiet joy of being alive rather than constantly pursuing more and more and more. Simplicity, therefore, becomes both a personal practice and a social witness. When individuals choose lives shaped by enoughness, they actually help create conditions of greater fairness and balance within the wider human community. Excess accumulation by a few often deepens upon scarcity for many. I'm sorry, I need to say that again. Excess accumulation by a few often depends upon scarcity for many. Yes, enoughness. So simplicity seeks another vision of shared flourishing where resources are honored as gifts meant for the well-being of all. The practice of simplicity also requires embodiment. Our spiritual teachers frequently remind us that simplicity cannot remain only an idea. It has to appear in daily habits, in the way our homes are arranged, in the way resources are used, and in the way that time is honored. Our bodies participate in this practice through what we wear, what we eat, how we travel, and how we care for the world around us. So simplicity becomes visible through the ordinary rhythms of life. And through these practices, the heart experiences a growing tranquility because life no longer feels like an endless race toward more achievement, more possessions, more power. And instead, the soul rests with a deeper trust that life already provides what is needed for growth and love. And the teachings of Jesus frequently pointed toward this trust. Again and again, he reminded listeners that life is more than food or clothing, and that the divine presence cares for every creature. This kind of trust allows the human person to live with remarkable freedom. When we release the need to accumulate endlessly, we become less vulnerable to manipulation through money, less vulnerable to manipulation through status, less vulnerable to manipulation through approval. And a simple life places the center of our identity beyond external rewards. The heart becomes free to act with courage, generosity, integrity. Francis and Claire of Assisi discovered profound joy within this freedom. Their lives demonstrated that letting go can open an expansive kingdom of love and belonging. By choosing simplicity, they stepped outside the usual systems of competition and status. Their freedom allowed them to live among the poor, to serve the suffering, and to celebrate creation with deep delight. And this joy arises because simplicity releases the burdens of constant comparison, constant competition, constant striving. The person who lives simply no longer measures life through social status or material success. And instead, the heart delights in friendship. The heart delights in beauty, prayer. The heart delights in service and communion with the natural world. And even time itself becomes a sacred gift rather than a commodity. And simplicity, well, it also reshapes relationships with others. People cease to appear as competitors. They cease to appear as possessions. They cease to appear as instruments for personal gain. And instead, they appear as companions within a shared journey of life. And so compassion deepens because the heart recognizes a common dignity shared by all. And this orientation, friends, naturally leads towards solidarity with those who live with fewer resources. When simplicity becomes a conscious choice rather than an imposed condition, it expresses a form of kinship with the majority of humanity who have lived with modest means throughout history. And it's this kind of solidarity that encourages humility. It encourages gratitude for the gifts that sustain life. And at its deepest level, simplicity involves a form, a practice of letting go. Spiritual teachers have often described this as learning to hold everything lightly. Possessions, expectations, opinions, and even fears gradually lose their grip on the heart. And don't worry, because this release does not diminish life. It opens life. Our energy, once spent guarding and defending, becomes available for creativity, compassion, joy. Simplicity also clears the inner vision of the soul. When the mind releases its constant preoccupation with accumulation and control, well, awareness becomes clearer. The sacred presence that quietly fills every moment becomes easier to recognize. Life itself begins to feel transparent to grace. And so through this clearing of vision, the heart rediscovers a profound belonging within the living universe. Because humanity participates in a vast communion of relationships that includes the earth, the waters, the forest, the atmosphere, and the unfolding cosmos itself. And if you want to remind yourself of this experience, because I know you've had it before, go outside tonight and look up at the stars. Friends, simplicity honors this belonging by encouraging a lifestyle that respects the limits and beauty of creation. The journey toward simplicity becomes a journey toward unity. And as distractions fall away, the human person experiences a deeper participation in the life of God, the life of the earth, and the life of the human community. The soul discovers that everything belongs within a single sacred reality. And remember, occasionally a quiet breath helps recall this unity. Do it again now and take a breath. Awareness gathers. The body softens, presence returns. Then the heart can continue walking the path of simplicity with renewed clarity. Gradually, friends, this path reshapes the entire landscape of daily living because attention rests more fully in the present moment. Relationships receive deeper care. Work becomes an expression of purpose. Rest becomes an honored rhythm of life. Gratitude expands toward the vast mystery of existence. Through this unfolding journey, simplicity reveals itself as a profound form of freedom. Life grows spacious, compassion grows strong, joy quietly deepens, and the heart discovers that enoughness has always been present within the sacred gift of existence itself. So let us move into that stillness for just a couple of minutes to feel its simplicity, and then we'll come back and share a guided meditation. We are going to take 5 or 6 minutes to share in a guided meditation, guided inquiry, however, whatever term you like is quite fine. It's just a place of deep listening and presence. So take a moment to settle again into stillness. Allow your body to rest comfortably. Let the spine rise with quiet dignity while the shoulders soften. Feel the steady support of the ground beneath you. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. We're going to enter into this practice of listening to the wisdom of simplicity. Simplicity invites the heart to rediscover freedom through enoughness. Many voices around us suggest that life becomes meaningful through more activity, achievement, and accumulation. The contemplative path gently reveals another possibility. Life becomes spacious when the heart learns to gather itself around what truly matters. So you're invited to allow the body to sense that deeper center. And rather than thinking about simplicity, let's allow the body to feel what it means to live from a place of inner clarity and sufficiency. Simply and gently bring awareness to the rhythm of breathing. Feel the breath arriving through the nose. Notice the coolness of the air as it enters the body. Feel the chest and belly expand with the gift of oxygen. Then feel the breath leave the body in a slow, natural release. Each inhale welcomes life. Each exhale creates space. Breath by breath, the body remembers the quiet sufficiency of the present moment. And as the breath continues in natural rhythm, allow your attention to travel gently through the body. Again, notice the weight of the body resting on the chair. Feel the contact of your feet with the ground. Sense the gentle rise and fall of the belly. Look inwardly. Where in your body do you feel ease? Where in your body do you feel openness, warmth? Simplicity often begins as a sensation of spaciousness. So as you breathe, notice where the body begins to feel more open or settled. What color might this spaciousness carry if the body could show it through color? What texture might it have if spaciousness could be touched? Returning to the breath again, imagine the breath slowly gathering those little tiny scattered pieces of attention. Each inhale gathers awareness back toward the center of the heart. Each exhale releases the sense of pressure to chase many different directions. In the quiet gathering of your attention, gently ask yourself a question. What matters most to your heart right now? And allow the body to respond rather than the thinking mind. Perhaps a feeling arises in the chest or shoulders. Perhaps an image appears. Perhaps a quiet sense of longing becomes visible. Continue to let the breath move through the body. And notice how it feels when attention rests around what matters most. Does your body feel steadier? Does your breath move more freely? Does your heart feel more spacious? Remember that simplicity grows when the heart learns to orient itself toward what truly nourishes life. When attention gathers around what matters most, many of our other concerns begin to soften naturally. And the body senses that it does not need to carry everything. So let your attention gently move to the many gifts that already surround your life. Imagine the ordinary moments that nourish you each day. The warmth of the sunlight, the presence of a friend, perhaps the quiet rhythm of walking or preparing a meal. And notice how your body responds when these moments enter your awareness. Does the chest feel warmer? Does the breath feel fuller? Does the body sense gratitude quietly unfolding? Breathing in and breathing out. Breath by breath, the heart begins to recognize the wisdom of enoughness. Enough time for this moment. Enough life within this breath. Enough goodness already present within the ordinary rhythms of life. Let your attention now move to the center of your chest and feel the very subtle movement of breath in that space. And imagine your heart expanding with each inhale. Imagine your heart softening with each exhale. And ask your heart this quiet question What might it feel like to move through life with greater simplicity? And allow the sensations or images to arise in response. Perhaps your body senses more spacious time. Perhaps the mind imagines clearer priorities. Perhaps the heart feels a deeper connection with other people or with the living earth. And just stay with the breath as these possibilities unfold. Notice how simplicity begins as an inner orientation before it becomes an outer practice. Our bodies seem to learn to recognize what brings life into balance far before our thinking mind does. The heart learns to rest in sufficiency. Gently returning your awareness to breath again. It is a quiet teacher, your breath. Air enters the lungs. Air flows outward again. This very gentle rhythm has supported your life since the first moment of birth. Breath itself reflects the quiet pattern of enoughness that is woven through existence. So allow gratitude to rise within this awareness. Feel gratitude for the body. Feel gratitude for breath. Feel gratitude for the simple gift of being alive in this moment. I'm going to rest in this space in the quiet for a couple of minutes together. Let the awareness of simplicity be within the heart. Let it settle like a calm pool of water settles. And if you would like a mantra for this quiet time, simply breathing in, I receive the gift of this moment. Breathing out, I rest in the freedom of enough. Breathing in, I receive the gift of this moment. Breathing out, I rest in the freedom of enoughness. Friends, gently allow your breath to deepen. Feel your body sitting in the room you're in. Notice the sounds around you. Allow your eyes to open slowly when you're ready. Look around and reorient your awareness to the space that you are in. And carry this sense of spacious enoughness with you wherever you go. We have some time for group dialogue. I know this group is not too chatty, but that's okay. The dialogue questions will be on the Mighty Network with the replay video, so you can revisit them there. You can comment on them there if you'd like. I encourage you to do that. That's one way of helping to develop community, is in our sharing. The one question that I didn't share at the beginning, and you'll see why, is that during the reflection and the guided meditation, what helped you sense simplicity as a form of freedom rather than a limitation? I'll put these other questions back in. The reflection we had speaks about purity of heart as focusing our lives around what matters most. So, what helps you recognize what truly matters in your life? Third, where do you notice the cultural pressures toward more accumulation, activity, and striving? And how might simplicity create greater spaciousness or clarity for you? And then, in what ways might choosing a simpler way of living deepen compassion, connection with others, or care for the earth? And if anyone would like to, provide a chat section answer now, even in short form, that's fine. If you want to ponder them for a while before answering, and answer them later in your own journal or on the Mighty Network comment section, you can do that too. Mariana, thank you too. I appreciate you being here. Ida, you are quite welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, friends, just a reminder, whether you were here for the live session or that watching the recording, thank you so much. If you are watching the recording, especially on YouTube, you are invited to join us live each Sunday at 6 p.m. Central here on the Mighty Network. That link is in the show notes on YouTube so that you can find us. And we look forward to you being here. Well, friends, good night. Blessings to all. Hope to see you again soon. Take good care. Bye.